In our fast-paced, information-saturated world, we are constantly bombarded with messages, ideas, and opinions from all sides. Whether it's advice from family and friends, information from the media, or teachings from various authorities, it's easy to fall into the trap of accepting things without much thought. But what if the Buddha's teachings hold a key to breaking free from this constant barrage of external influences? What if, instead of accepting everything we hear at face value, we learn to pause, reflect, and discern what truly serves us? One of the Buddha's fundamental teachings is that we should not believe something simply because someone else tells us to. This wisdom is timeless, and it holds an essential lesson for us today. We live in an era where misinformation can spread quickly, where opinions are presented as facts, and where it's easier than ever to be influenced by what others say. But the Buddha warned against this. Do not believe something simply because you have heard it, he said. Do not believe something simply because it is widely spoken or because it is written in books. Do not believe something simply because it comes from the elders or tradition. At first glance, this advice might seem counterintuitive. After all, we are raised in a society where we trust experts, listen to authority figures, and rely on the wisdom of those who came before us. Our culture encourages us to follow the advice of teachers, leaders, and elders because they often have more experience than we do. But the Buddha's message goes beyond just rejecting authority. His teaching is about encouraging critical thinking, self-reflection, and personal experience as the foundation for truth. Think about how much of our daily lives are shaped by the opinions and teachings of others. Every time you check social media, you are bombarded with countless voices, each offering their own interpretation of what's right or true. In many ways, we're living in a time of constant external validation. People often share their thoughts online, sometimes with little thought or expertise behind them. As a result, we can easily fall into the trap of believing things simply because they are trending or because they come from someone we admire. Take, for example, the overwhelming amount of diet trends that circulate through social media and online platforms. One person will post a glowing testimonial about the benefits of a particular diet, and within hours, that diet becomes the latest craze. A few months later, the same diet is debunked as harmful, and a new one takes its place. People flock to these trends because they see others doing it, and they trust that those who share their experiences are speaking the truth. However, how many of us stop to question the sources of these health experts or the scientific evidence behind these claims? The Buddha's teaching would advise us to pause and ask, is this something that truly aligns with my personal experience? What is the evidence behind it? Is it beneficial for me, or is it just something that others believe to be true? Another powerful example of the Buddha's teaching in action can be seen in the way we consume news. With the rise of the internet and social media, information spreads faster than ever before. It's not uncommon for people to share articles or posts that they haven't fully read or fact-checked. Often, these articles are written with a particular bias or agenda, and before long, the information becomes accepted as fact simply because it has been shared by enough people. Whether it's a political statement, a health tip, or a viral news story, how often do we take the time to verify what we read before we form an opinion or share it with others? The Buddha's advice here is clear. Just because something is widely circulated or comes from a seemingly trustworthy source doesn't mean it is true. In fact, the Buddha would encourage us to ask, is this information based on direct experience, or is it merely an opinion or hearsay? Rather than accepting things based on authority or popular opinion, the Buddha teaches us to think critically and explore the deeper truths for ourselves. Let's consider the idea of tradition. In many cultures, traditions hold a sacred place. From family customs to societal practices, tradition shapes the way we think, act, and live. But the Buddha was not opposed to tradition in itself. Rather, he encouraged us to question whether our attachment to tradition is serving us or whether we are simply following a path because it has been passed down through generations. For instance, in many parts of the world, arranged marriages are still the norm. In some cultures, the tradition of marrying within one's social class or caste is upheld, often without question. While these traditions are deeply rooted in history, the Buddha would invite us to reflect: is this tradition truly serving the well-being and happiness of individuals? Does it contribute to their personal growth, or is it a practice that perpetuates suffering? Just because something has been done for centuries does not necessarily make it the best or only way. The Buddha urges us to critically examine the impact of these practices on our lives and to ask whether they align with our values and understanding of what is truly beneficial. This same critical thinking applies to the teachings found in sacred texts, including Buddhist scriptures themselves. While the Buddha's teachings are an invaluable source of wisdom, he also urged his followers not to accept everything just because it was written down in a book or spoken by an elder. The Buddha's own teachings were grounded in direct experience, and he encouraged his followers to explore the teachings for themselves, to test them through personal experience, and to see whether they lead to peace and clarity. This practice of direct experience is one of the hallmarks of Buddhism. For example, the Buddha famously said, "Do not believe in anything simply because you have heard it. Do not believe in anything simply because it is spoken by many. Do not believe in anything simply because it is written in your scriptures. Do not believe in anything simply because it is said by your teacher. Believe only what you have experienced for yourself and have tested through your own direct experience." This profound teaching encourages us to make our own discoveries, to engage with life fully, and to find the truths that resonate with our own hearts. In everyday life, we can apply this principle by being more mindful of how we take in information. For example, when we are given advice about our career choices, our relationships, or our health, it's important to remember that no one knows us better than we know ourselves. While it's always helpful to listen to others, the Buddha encourages us to go deeper. We can take in the advice and reflect on whether it aligns with our personal experiences and aspirations. We can ask ourselves, does this truly resonate with my heart and mind? Is this something I feel is the right path for me? This practice of mindfulness and discernment allows us to make decisions that are truly our own, rather than following others blindly. So, what does this all mean for you? How can you begin to live in alignment with this teaching today? It starts with mindfulness. Take a moment to reflect on the areas of your life where you have accepted things without question. Do you follow trends because they are popular? Do you believe something simply because it's been repeated by others? Are there traditions in your life that you've never questioned? Ask yourself, how can I begin to bring more discernment into my life? How can I listen to others, but also honor my own experience and understanding? As you begin to cultivate this practice of discernment, you may notice that you start to feel freer. You will begin to recognize that the opinions of others, though important, do not define your reality. You will become more confident in making decisions that are based on your own wisdom and understanding. Over time, this will lead to greater peace, clarity, and the ability to live more authentically. The Buddha's teachings on not accepting things blindly offer us a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of modern life. By questioning the information we receive, reflecting on our own experiences, and testing teachings through direct experience, we can begin to find the path that truly leads to freedom and enlightenment. This process of self-discovery not only empowers us to make better decisions, but also allows us to live with greater authenticity and peace. The Buddha did not teach us to become skeptical of all things or to mistrust others. Rather, he encourages us to engage with the world more consciously, to cultivate an attitude of curiosity and awareness, and to seek understanding that aligns with our personal experiences. Once you start to see the value of questioning external influences, you can take the next step in your journey, learning to trust your own inner wisdom. The Buddha teaches that within each of us lies the potential for deep insight and clarity, but we often fail to recognize it because we are constantly looking outside ourselves for answers. In reality, true peace and guidance come from within. By trusting your own judgment and experience, you become more attuned to the deeper truths of your life. Trusting your inner wisdom in a world where so many external voices vie for your attention, learning to trust your own wisdom can be one of the most powerful acts of self-liberation. The Buddha emphasized that the mind, when trained and purified, is capable of discerning the truth on its own. Through meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection, you can develop the clarity needed to make decisions that are in alignment with your true nature. This is a skill that can be cultivated over time. It's not about having all the answers immediately, but about learning to listen to your thoughts and emotions with an open and discerning heart. Think of it like this. If you've ever had a gut feeling about something, a sense of knowing that something was right or wrong without fully understanding why, that's your inner wisdom speaking. Many of us ignore these feelings because we are conditioned to trust external opinions over our own instincts. However, when you begin to cultivate mindfulness and self-awareness, you start to reconnect with that inner voice. The more you listen to it, the more attuned you become to its guidance. Consider this real-life example. Imagine you are offered a new job opportunity. On the surface, it looks perfect. The salary is great, the benefits are excellent, and the position seems like a step up in your career. However, when you close your eyes and take a deep breath, you notice a subtle feeling of discomfort in your stomach. Maybe something about the company culture doesn't sit right with you, or you feel that this job will take you away from your family or your passions. On paper, everything seems ideal, but your inner wisdom is telling you to pause and reflect before making a decision. In this case, trusting your inner wisdom means taking the time to listen to that gut feeling, to examine it more deeply, and to make a decision based on what truly feels right for you. It might not be easy to defy external expectations or to choose a path that doesn't align with what others think is best for you. But by listening to your inner voice, you are making a choice that is in harmony with your values, your desires, and your long-term happiness. The role of mindfulness in developing discernment. Mindfulness is the key to developing this inner awareness. It's through mindfulness that you can cultivate the capacity to distinguish between what is true for you and what is simply the influence of external forces. The practice of mindfulness teaches you to observe your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without judgment. It allows you to create space between an impulse and a decision, so you can act with clarity and wisdom rather than react out of habit or conditioned responses. For example, when you find yourself in a situation where you're tempted to accept something at face value, whether it's advice from a friend, a piece of news, or an opinion shared on social media, mindfulness gives you the opportunity to pause. Instead of jumping to conclusions or automatically adopting the viewpoint of others, mindfulness allows you to take a step back, observe the situation, and ask yourself, what am I truly feeling about this? Does this resonate with my own values? How does this align with my experience? Through regular mindfulness practice, whether through meditation, breathing exercises, or simply paying attention to your thoughts throughout the day, you begin to develop a deeper sense of awareness. Over time, this awareness will naturally guide you to discern what is beneficial for your growth and well-being, and what might be a distraction or even harmful. Real-life example, the power of mindfulness in action. Imagine you're at a dinner party and someone begins to share an opinion about a controversial issue like politics or a social movement. Everyone at the table begins to nod along, agreeing with the points being made. The atmosphere is charged, and there's a subtle pressure to conform to the group's viewpoint. However, in this moment, mindfulness offers you the chance to observe your own feelings and reactions. You notice that, while everyone around you is agreeing, you feel uneasy. You may not have a fully formed opinion on the issue, but you recognize that something about the conversation doesn't sit right with you. Mindfulness in this scenario doesn't require you to immediately argue or reject the opinions of others. Instead, it gives you the space to observe your own feelings, process them, and decide how to respond from a place of awareness, not knee-jerk reaction. You might choose to ask a question, offering your own perspective in a way that invites thoughtful dialogue. Or you may decide to simply remain silent, choosing not to engage in a conversation that feels out of alignment with your own values. The key is that mindfulness empowers you to act with intention, rather than just following the crowd. Empowering yourself. Through discernment and mindfulness, as you continue to practice discernment and trust in your inner wisdom, you will begin to see your life unfold in a new way. Instead of living reactively, following the opinions and trends of others, you will find yourself living more intentionally, making decisions that reflect your true self. You will have the strength to stand firm in your beliefs and to pursue paths that feel true, even if they diverge from what others expect of you. This shift isn't always easy. It requires courage to challenge deeply held beliefs, to question traditions, and to trust that your own experience is just as valuable, if not more so, than the opinions of others. But it is precisely this courage that leads to a life of authenticity, freedom, and peace. The more you practice discernment and cultivate mindfulness, the more you will be able to navigate life's challenges with clarity and confidence, always rooted in the wisdom that comes from within. To live intentionally means to make conscious choices, aligning your actions with your deepest values, and pursuing goals that resonate with your true self. This isn't about following a set of prescribed rules or fulfilling others' expectations, but rather about crafting a life that feels authentic to you, no matter how unconventional it may seem to others. The Buddha's teachings are not just about understanding the world, they are about living fully in the world, but with clarity and purpose. They teach us that we are not passive participants in the unfolding of our lives. We are active creators. By making intentional choices based on what we know to be true for ourselves, we step into our power and align ourselves with the natural flow of the universe. The importance of aligning actions with values. One of the most powerful aspects of living intentionally is ensuring that your actions align with your core values. In the modern world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, chasing success, material possessions, or external validation. We often get so wrapped up in meeting societal standards or pleasing others that we lose sight of what truly matters to us. To illustrate, consider a common example. Imagine you are in a high-paying job, one that comes with prestige, benefits, and the approval of your peers. From the outside, it may seem like the perfect career. Yet over time, you begin to feel a sense of emptiness. Perhaps the work doesn't bring you joy, or you've sacrificed too much of your personal time and relationships in pursuit of success. While everyone around you might be praising your accomplishments, deep down, you know that the work doesn't align with your values, such as creativity, family, or service to others. Living intentionally requires the courage to question if your actions are truly in line with your values. The Buddha emphasized the importance of knowing ourselves deeply, not just in terms of desires or superficial goals, but in terms of what we genuinely care about. In this case, stepping away from a job that no longer aligns with your core values may be one of the most intentional acts you can make. It might be difficult, and the world around you may question your decision. But by aligning your actions with your true self, You are creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling rather than just successful by external standards. Real-life example, making life-altering decisions. Let's look at the story of someone named Sarah. Sarah was a lawyer working at a prestigious law firm. She was respected by her colleagues, had a high salary, and was on the fast track to a partnership. From the outside, she had it all. But Sarah began to feel increasingly drained and disconnected. The work was demanding, leaving her little time for her family or her passions. She found herself questioning, is this really the life I want? Am I sacrificing my happiness for external success? After much reflection, Sarah decided to take a break and travel. She spent several months in different countries, volunteering and rediscovering her love for writing, something she had abandoned years ago. Eventually, Sarah decided to leave her law career behind and pursue a career in writing and teaching. Her decision was met with confusion and skepticism by many of her friends and colleagues. They couldn't understand why she would walk away from such a lucrative and prestigious job. However, for Sarah, living intentionally meant honoring her true values of creativity, service, and balance. By making this decision, she aligned her career with her passions, and ultimately, she found much more fulfillment and peace. Sarah's example shows how powerful it can be to live authentically, even if it goes against societal expectations. The role of courage in living authentically. Living with intention requires courage, the courage to make decisions that might not make sense to others, but that feel right for you. It means having the strength to follow your own path, even when it diverges from the norm or when others try to pull you back into the familiar. The Buddha teaches us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite fear. It's about trusting that you have the power to create the life you desire, even if it seems daunting at first. When you choose authenticity, you are choosing a path that might be less predictable, but is far more rewarding. This courage allows you to create a life that reflects who you truly are, your passions, your values, your purpose. You don't need to wait for permission or external validation. By living intentionally, you can step into your fullest potential and start creating the life you've always imagined. Consider this. Have you ever felt an inner pull to do something unconventional, to take a risk that feels right deep down, but was discouraged by others? Maybe it was starting a new business, switching careers, or pursuing an artistic passion. The pull was there, but the fear of judgment, failure, or uncertainty held you back. Living authentically is about overcoming that fear, trusting your instincts, and believing in your own ability to navigate the challenges ahead. It's about having the courage to walk away from what is no longer serving you, even if it's comfortable or familiar, and to embrace a new chapter, one that feels truer to who you are. Practical tips for living with intention. Clarify your values. Take time to reflect on what truly matters to you. What values do you want to embody in your life? Is it freedom, creativity, family, kindness, or something else? Write these values down and use them as a compass for making decisions. Set clear intentions. Each day, set an intention that aligns with your values. It could be as simple as today, I will choose peace over stress, or I will focus on creativity and not worry about what others think. Intentions help guide your actions and keep you aligned with your true self. Embrace change. Living with intention often means embracing change and growth. Don't be afraid to pivot if something no longer feels right. Change is an inevitable part of the process, and it's often the only way to move forward. Mind your circle. Surround yourself with people who support your journey of authenticity. Seek out relationships with those who encourage your growth and who will respect your decisions even when they don't fully understand them. Practice self-compassion. Living intentionally is a process, and it's not always easy. Be kind to yourself as you navigate the challenges of aligning your actions with your values. Recognize that it's okay to stumble along the way. What matters is that you continue moving forward with purpose and authenticity. Mindfulness isn't just a practice limited to moments of quiet reflection. It's about infusing every action, every breath, and every interaction with full awareness. By doing so, you unlock a profound shift in the way you approach your life and your goals. The Buddha often spoke of mindfulness as a way to see things as they are, without distortion or bias. This allows you to act from a place of clarity, avoiding impulsive reactions driven by stress or anxiety. It helps you make choices that align with your true self, rather than reacting to external pressures or distractions. Real-life example: mindfulness in action. Take Anna, a mother of 2 and a full-time marketing manager. With her busy schedule, she often feels like she's constantly running between tasks, barely keeping up with her responsibilities. However, she decided to integrate mindfulness into her routine. Instead of rushing through the morning routine with her kids, she took a few moments to simply breathe, focus on the present moment, and engage with her children fully. During meetings, she practiced listening deeply and giving her undivided attention, allowing her to make better decisions. The results were transformative. Not only did her stress decrease, but her productivity and relationships improved because she was present, grounded, and thoughtful in every action. By being mindful, you cultivate the ability to fully experience life, to savor moments, and to act with purpose. When you are present, you can discern which decisions will lead you closer to your goals and values. Mindfulness empowers you to break free from autopilot living, ensuring that every action you take reflects your deepest intentions. Living with awareness in relationships. Mindfulness also extends into our relationships. Often, in our fast-paced lives, we communicate with others without truly listening or understanding. We're thinking ahead to the next task or distracted by our own internal dialogue. However, by practicing mindfulness, you open the door to deeper, more authentic connections with others. When we truly listen to someone, without judgment, without distraction, we create a space for them to feel seen and heard. This is one of the greatest gifts we can offer in any relationship. Whether it's with family, friends, or colleagues, mindful communication fosters trust, empathy, and understanding. It strengthens bonds and creates an environment where all parties feel valued and respected. Conclusion: the path forward. In this ever-changing world, it's easy to get caught in the rush of daily life, driven by expectations and external pressures. However, through the teachings of Buddhism and the principles of living with intention, authenticity, and mindfulness, we can begin to live in alignment with our true selves. These teachings remind us that we are the architects of our own lives, that we have the power to make conscious choices, and that our happiness and fulfillment are rooted in our ability to act from a place of awareness. By slowing down, reflecting, and embracing the wisdom of these practices, you begin to create a life that not only feels right for you, but one that has the potential to radiate positivity and peace to others as well. Remember, the journey is not always easy, but it is incredibly rewarding. You don't need to have all the answers today, and you certainly don't need to be perfect. What matters is that you begin, that you commit to the process, and that you stay true to your path. By making intentional choices and aligning your actions with your deepest values, you're taking the first steps toward transformation. So, as you move forward, keep asking yourself, what is my next intentional step? How can I show up authentically in my life today? Before you go, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more transformative insights and inspiration. Each week, we explore ways to create the life you've always dreamed of, step by step. Don't miss out on future content that can support your journey of self-discovery and growth. Thank you for being with me today. Until next time, stay present, stay authentic, and keep moving forward with intention